This is how to play Alia's Garden, which is a cozy polyomino deck building game designed for the 2025 Board Game Geek Solitaire competition. In Alia's Garden, you're going to be growing a beautiful garden and nurturing the plants within it, whilst this sort of sinister rot spreads throughout. And there are many forms of beauty that can contribute to this very non-traditional garden, but there's no way to really beat the rot. It's kind of inevitable. So it's really just about how much beauty you can make knowing that it won't be forever. But things aren't beautiful because they last forever, right? So let's start by setting up the game. It's pretty simple. You find the starting cards, there are 8 of them, and make sure that they are like dark green side down and beige, cream colored side up. And you shuffle them together and place them all under the sun card. You can have the sun card either side up, and this is your garden deck. And now it's time to create your garden. So what you're going to do is take the garden deck and you're going to draw the bottom 5 cards from it and overlap them in such a way that they form this beautiful 5x4 grid. Then go and grab those vibrant red action cards, and you're going to take all 16 of them and shuffle them together using both sides, and then divide this deck into 2 similarly sized piles. Then take the remaining discovery deck, where there's 18 of these cards, and you're going to shuffle them and just place them off to the side for now, as you won't need them until phase 2. And so lastly, have the water cubes and these rock cubes nearby, and then align the track cards and place a tracker cube as shown here. And so how does the game play? You're going to be playing across 5 years, which are basically 5 rounds, and each year contains 3 phases. And the goal of the game is by the end of year 5, you've been nurturing and fortifying your garden in such a way that it shows 25 plus of these victory point symbols in the corner. And if you get 25 or more, then you've won. Before we begin, I thought I'd point out one special ability that you can do once at the start of each year, which is if you don't like the garden that you've drawn, you are hoping for another sort of formation of it, then you can reshuffle all garden cards and recreate the garden. And so let's start playing the game. It starts with the action phase, which works as follows. You can choose the top card of either of these 2 action deck piles. Once you've made a choice, grab it with you and put it beside the sun deck, and then you're going to perform all of the actions listed in order from top to bottom. And you're going to keep repeating this, choosing cards, performing actions, until you reach an action that cannot be fully performed, which is when the next phase is triggered, and you'll remove all cubes and you'll go straight into the second phase. And so the first part of this card is the watering action. And as you can see, there's a sort of shape formation, a pattern. And what we're going to do is we're going to place water cubes onto unoccupied garden plots, which are these squares, in the formation of this depicted pattern. And the pattern can be totally, flipped or rotated however you want. And then once you've placed all of the water cubes, each plot covered in this way is now considered watered. And certain plots that have these little icons will gain benefits when watered that can be resolved in any order you want. And so in this example, I was able to water a blossom, a sunlight, and a pine tree. These are kind of the 3 most common features of the garden, and they each do something very special, which I'll talk you through now. When you water a blossom plot, you gain 1 blossom, and you record this on the track card by moving the marker up. Similarly, with the sunlight, when that's watered, you gain 1 sunlight that's also recorded on the track card. But there is a maximum amount you can have here, which is 10, and you can see that the track is divided into different milestones. And I just crossed over into milestone 1, which triggers a card draw. That's what this symbol means. So I now get to add another card to the garden, and you can kind of see that it gets harder and harder to do that since the milestones are further and further apart. And lastly, I also gained 1 pine tree. Now, interestingly, there's no track for this, and that's because it has an effect that directly applies to the next action that we're going to do. So we did this one, and now we move forward into the rot action. Can you tell I'm not happy to see the rot right now? Now, the rot takes up space in your garden. It does nothing but that. So it's telling us to put this amount of rot into the garden, and they all need to be placed connected adjacently to each other, connected along 1 or more adjacent sides, not diagonally. Now, one sigh of relief I have is this number of rot is lowered by the amount of pine trees that we gained in the previous action. So I get to lower this number by 1. I want to put it down in a place that covers as few symbols as possible and doesn't get in the way. So maybe something like this? And of course, when it covers icons, it doesn't trigger anything. It's pervasive and destructive. Now, there are different kinds of rot symbols on other cards that affect how rot can be placed. There's a full list of everything in the index page of the rulebook, but just to quickly show you that sometimes you can get multiple instances of rot. Now, rot within one instance all needs to be connected, growing in a continuous shape, but different instances of rot have to be disconnected from each other in any given action. Okay, done. Not too bad. And lastly, there's the bonus action on this card, and you gain all extra icons that are listed. And you're going to repeat this process by picking one of the 2 action cards, putting it in front of you, doing the watering action, the rot action, and the bonus action, and you're going to keep going until the garden is so occupied by cubes to the point that you're unable to actually place one of the patterns from either the watering or rot action, in which case you don't do that action and you immediately end this phase. And when you do, you look at all that has been created, and then you're going to clear out all the cubes to reset it, but leaving the cards where they are, and you're going to move on to the discovery phase, which is where you can start discovering new cool things to bring into your garden and fortify and upgrade the existing plots that you have. And you're probably wondering, well, I know what pine trees do because they lower the rot, they're protective, and the sunlight allows you to venture further into your garden by drawing more cards. But what do the blossoms do? You know, they seem irrelevant, but this is the phase where the blossoms come into play. And arguably the blossoms are the most important because you spend them in order to do actions that upgrade your garden for the future years. And so we're into phase 2, the discovery phase. Firstly, you go grab that discovery deck that we left to the side and you draw the top 3 cards and place them in front of you. And then you're going to spend Blossom to perform any combination of these 2 options that I'm about to list, and the cost of which is indicated in the bottom left corner of each card you can see here. And you can choose the same option several times. So the first thing you can do is discover, which is to choose a discovery card from the 3 you drew and pay the Blossom cost in the bottom left and then add it into your garden deck. And these discovery cards bring with them really unique icons with powerful effects. And again, you can see the appendix for a full list of these. And the other thing you can do is from the garden that's drawn in front of you, you can choose a card and again pay the cost that's shown in the bottom left and flip it over. And you can see that this side is, well, visually kind of more impactful and showing the growth and the nurturing of the garden. And on the back of these are more powerful icons and symbols. You can see that there could be more symbols, or there could be even golden symbols, which means it's +1 value when you water it. You get an extra 1 of that. And so when you're done discovering cool new synergies and upgrading cards, you're going to move on to the cleanup phase, which is the last phase, where you reshuffle all of your garden cards back into any remaining cards in the sun deck, and you're going to reshuffle all the action cards that were used back into an action deck that you're going to, like before, split into 2 similarly sized piles. And then all remaining discovery cards that you didn't buy go back, shuffled back into the discovery deck. And then you're going to reset the Blossom and the Sunlight tracks, and you're going to advance the year marker by 1 to year 2. And very lastly, you're going to draw the bottom 5 cards of the garden to create a new garden, replanting if you wish, using that power I mentioned at the beginning to reshuffle. And please note, importantly, if you purchased any discovery cards that have this symbol, this is the draw a card, and this applies when you're drawing your garden. So this can chain quite a lot. It also applies whenever you draw a card from the Red Sun milestone track as well, for instance. And so whenever you see it, you draw another card. So you could actually end up starting a garden with more than 5 cards easily. So there's a lot of combos and a lot of synergies that I'll leave you to discover. And so you're going to continue doing these 3 phases across 5 years until you reach year 5, and things are going to play out a little bit differently. You do the action phase as normal, and when the year 5 action phase ends, instead of going to the discovery phase, you go straight to an endgame phase. And here you're going to lay out all of your garden cards, spending gained blossoms to fortify however many times. And then you're going to add up the victory point numbers indicated in the bottom left corners of your fortified garden cards. And if the total reaches 25 or more, congratulations, you won. Thank you so much for checking out Alia's Garden. It's been such a labor of love to put it together and to see it reach this point. It just makes my heart so happy. I do want to have a massive shout out to John Tibertzi, my amazing friend who has done all the art and contributed in so many ways within the design and theming of this. And also to Georg Fischer, who I actually met at last Board Game Geek Solitaire competition, who's become such a dear and special close friend of mine, of whom is making some cover art for this and has play tested this, and also thank you to everyone who's checked it out and supported me bringing this to life. I can't wait for you to play it.